Hi guys, welcome back to another podcast by Kaya Plus. And today's topic will revolve around something that just happened a few days back. A new app launch, and it's supposed to be something that is not going to be um, that you know, uh, even it's not something that should be that prominent, but I think just the timing itself make everything so much more interesting. And I think before the app even launched, the two company owners are actually uh, having a little bit of attention and limelight when it comes to um, Elon Musk and also Mark Zuckerberg. So today we're going to talk about Threads, which is Meta's or Instagram's newest launch, which is actually similar to what Twitter is doing. It's just that I think they are bringing back the old Twitter, the Twitter that people used to love, and then just repackage it back to the users compared to what Twitter is right now. So, what are your initial thoughts of it? Because it's just what Meta has been doing, which is just copy what TikTok has been doing, launching it as Reels. They have been always copying other people's products and services, but why this time it is different?
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. If you haven't activated your account, you feel free to do so. But then there is some news coming out saying once you have activated Threads account, you cannot technically delete it without deleting it together with your Instagram account. So just to take note. But anyway, it's just another social media account that you should actually explore. So I think there are a couple of points that's quite interesting when Meta actually launched it. Actually, the whole market gives a quite positive response if you check out the actual share price performance when Meta actually launched or basically giving out the news about these products. Timing is very important. So ever since Twitter got taken over or prioritized by Elon Musk, there's a couple of things actually going on in terms of the performance. There are a lot of layoff. This basically changes of how the whole thing being operates. And then they also launched a new thing called Twitter Blue, which is a so-called official account or validated or verified account as a way for Elon Musk to actually monetize it. There are a couple of things being done by Elon Musk, but all in all, the sentiment is bad because there isn't any clearer directions basically being portrayed by Elon Musk. So that's why after Thread actually launched, there are a lot of memes going around the internet, basically saying this is the time that basically Mark Zuckerberg going to KO Twitter, or basically they will be the one that actually replacing Twitters. And then there are a couple of stats that's quite interesting. This is something that you should basically take note if you wanted to compare side by side between the differences of Thread versus Twitter in general. So of course, for me, the key differences is the character limit per post lah. This is like the one that you can observe. But other than that, it's quite similar. I think even the look and feel is very, very close. Beside Thread is the cleaner version of it because now it's kind of like a version 101. There isn't a lot of things that you can do about it. You can't even find out the trending tweets like what Twitter able to give you. And then they won't be having any limitation in terms of content viewing. So this is the important one, other than the features. So because Elon Musk wanted to monetize Twitter in a better way, so they actually set some limitation on the content viewing limit. I mean, on the number of content that you can view. But then, of course, Threads give you unlimited access. You can view anything you want. So this is the sum of the important side-by-side comparison between Thread and Twitter. Basically, is I would say 90% the same. Beside a few pointer that actually being listed up inside the chart over here. So probably Japan can share what is a few things that basically happened in terms of the revenue performance, the profit performance by Twitter's ever since taken over by Elon Musk.
I think To be honest, I think that Elon Musk probably also took over Twitter at the wrong time. So back in the days where interest rates were still low, I think a lot of tech companies were heavily using that to actually do a lot of things. And I think Twitter was one of the companies where the share price was actually at the higher side. And of course, Elon Musk loves Twitter. He basically tweets every day. Sometimes I just go on there to, you know, get my free dose of entertainment and jokes. But I think when Elon Musk made it known that he wanted to launch a social media company, and not to really launch, but to buy over Twitter and, you know, transform Twitter into his Tencent, because Elon Musk did actually set out before that he wanted to create an app just like Tencent in China, WeChat, that can actually, you know, do anything, chat, payment, etc. So, but by the time when Elon Musk wanted to buy over Twitter, it was also the time where the Feds were actually looking to tame the inflation. So the price that he eventually or he initially wanted to take over Twitter was at the higher side, and then he also came up with a lot of reasons that I think this price is actually too high, and I will only pay this price if Twitter can confirm that number of users inside is lesser than a percentage. If not mistaken, 10% of it is lesser than are actually bots. Right? He wants to actually use that as a metric to gauge the fair value of Twitter. But I think due to the so-called laws in place, I think eventually he really had to also take Twitter private with a very high price. But after that, it was also downhill. You remember that he actually brought a whole sink to the Twitter HQ to, you know, let, to play a little joke. But after that itself, he was laying off a lot of people. I think the revenue stream, which is advertisements, got affected as well. Um, and if you really look into how social media, successful social media's company have been running, is all have been ads. And to have ads, you need to have a very strong user base, your daily active users, even your monthly active, because so long as there's people, there will be a reason for corporates and advertisers to um, pay money and advertise their products on that platform. And Twitter was actually experiencing some sort of a decline in terms of the user base, and even the content creators were not happy with the changes. So you can see from the chart here, things have gone really, really bad. And the thing that initiatives that Elon Musk can only think about is actually to charge, users to get their profile verified. Even though it does brings in a little bit of money, but what's the use if it's a subscription package, but advertisers are not willing to advertise on the platform? You eventually lose out in the long run. So it's not a good long-term plan. And this is what we are seeing, or this is what even the data is actually suggesting.
Yep, I think to put things into perspective, probably later Jupan can add on is right now they basically head on side by side, but of course you cannot compare Instagram with Twitter's. It's very different in nature. But then just putting into perspective, Instagram generate about 51 billions in revenue in the latest year, which is 2022. But then if you actually check back, what is the number that related or forecasted to be generated by Twitter is relatively small. It's not even 10% of Instagram. So maybe you take the high side. It's a forecast being made back in October 2022 on what is the ads revenue can be generated by Twitter. It's about 4.5 until 5 billions. So it's pretty small, about 10% of it. So just think of it, if you wanted to compare the impact that Thread is going to bring as the overall performance to Meta, probably if they manage to absorb 100% of it, attract all the marketer go to Thread rather than Twitter's, probably it's just another 10% increase on top of Instagram. Maybe Jupan, you want to add on a few points about the actual figures and numbers, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's just a good time for actually Meta to come up with something equivalent to Twitter when Twitter is in big trouble. And I think setting up the Threads account was one of the most surprising thing to me because they actually utilize the Instagram user base to expedite and accelerate and make the sign up process seamless. Of course, there are still a little bit of you know functions that are a little bit cuckoo. So, for example, you cannot sign in multiple accounts. So, for us, we manage our personal accounts, right, and also Kaya Plus account. So, there is still no flexibility in switching toggle between our personal account and also the Kaya Plus account. But of course, this is something that is easily fixed. Hopefully, this upgrade rolls out in the next few weeks. But I think that to have the user base that is so much bigger than Twitter, and then just asking people to just sign up, it's very easy. Just port over all the information that you have, and voila, you have your Threads account already. And this is just a very simple visualization of how Meta user base is compared to other kinds of apps out there, right? You have Facebook, you have YouTube, you have WhatsApp, you have Instagram. So top 5 of the apps that people are using, I think Meta is already owning 3 of them already. So you can see the scale of it, and it's just at the end of the day how Threads can actually go up to top 5 just due to the fact that actually pumping their user base growth from Instagram current user base.
Yep. So to add on a few point, I think this is something that's mentioned by Jupan before. Facebook is good at technically copying a very successful new features launched by the competitors and then turn into their own one. But of course, I would say Instagram Reels, which is the TikTok equivalent or Snapchat equivalent, is not that successful. So the one that is successful is Stories, which is somewhat invented or make it popular by Snapchat. But then if you talk about short video with the typical behavior that you swipe up for new videos, is still dominated by TikTok. So this is the only failure case done by Facebook or Meta. But other than that, that's been successful. Even like we talk about putting in long video, like YouTube videos, that kind of length inside Facebook, they are also quite successful. The ads is actually also following. The stickiness is also there. So it will be quite interesting to see how they are able to take it further because the first step is already done. They managed to convert, I would say, a lot of percentage of Instagram user into it straight away. So you skip all your following steps. So imagine when you first go into TikToks or Snapchats or even Twitter last time, you need to do please follow the few figures that you may be interested so they can build your profile. So they skip all these things. They already know your profile. They already follow on your behalf and they are suggesting the content you already like to view or read. So this is the first step already done. The second step is how they basically can increase the stickiness. And of course, other nitty-gritty stuff like adding in multiple account, I think that one will be taken easily in the long run. The one that is not sure is how they are able to make their whole ecosystem responded to each other. So they have short messaging platform WhatsApp, they have Facebook, they have Instagram, and now they have Threads. So imagine all these things can come all together. It will be a quite a powerful social media kingdom that Meta is actually building. So just to add on a few points, I'm also observing in the past few months. I think this is important because right now, user-generated content is become a gold mine that a lot of people want to come after. So a lot of people, I'm basically relating them to the big tech company that's developing large language model. For example, ChatGPT that's technically associated with Microsoft. So they will need a lot of user-generated content across the internet for them to train the model so that the so-called robot or AI equivalent can give you the smart answer. And then you can see it's a trend that a lot of content-based companies started to restrict their API access. So when I mention API access is basically a gateway for anyone to scrap their data and then use the data to train the models. So one of the things that basically giving the internet a hoo-ha is Reddit. They basically changed their API policy. They start to block people from scrapping the content anytime they want. So they want to monetize on it and so on. So this is important. So eventually, the platform that have a lot of genuine user-generated content and is high quality will be the gold mine that a lot of people willing to pay to make sure their AI or their ChatGPT equivalent is smart. So this is one thing that I would say is a plus point on top of any other comment or pointer that we have raised about threats. But another thing that's also quite interesting I wanted to add on is there's a few articles that's covering about this, talking about AI is basically cannibalizing themselves or AI is eating themselves. So the basis of this is because ChatGPT is very impressive. It's basically trained against a static data, I think before September 2021. So it's a time where there isn't a lot of AI generated content, or it's genuine content basically written by human. And then after the launch of ChatGPT and a lot of other large language model that's coming into play, like Google Bard, the China version, their couples. Right now, it's getting harder for them to scrap the data. So they can scrap the data using the same tactic, but you won't know how many data inside uh, the one that they managed to scrap, let's say in the year of 2023, how many percent is actually generated by AI? So this raises a very big concern because AI learn from the data and they predict what is the text to be displayed to human. So let's say the question you are asking, what is the best fruit to eat for your health? Maybe when they keep on scrapping the things, apple maybe is the first one, and then orange is the second one. So you think of it, after 2021, you have all this AI generated content. The guy that actually scrap and automatically post to delete Twitter's, potentially threads, Facebook or whatnot, they will also will say the top five good fruits for human health is actually apple and then followed by orange. This is fine if this is a factual stuff, but this is not good at all if this is an opinion. So, for example, what is the best political policy that is actually helpful for US, for Malaysia, or for Singapore? This kind of thing cannot be basically put in something that create bias. So if you have a lot of AI generated content that learn from the previous one and then keep on scrapping on the same effect, then the whole AI will become more and more biased. So if they are trained on this thing and then they have the view of thinking LGBT is good, for example, and then they scrap again on 2023 data, there will be a lot more AI generated content that tell them to do so. And then they keep on scrapping the same thing, and then this cycle will continue, and then you only will become more and more narrow, and eventually maybe 5 years down the road, the answer is basically one. When you ask them about the question, they only can give you one answer because this is the only thing that they manage to grab from the internet, and maybe half of it or even 60% of it is generated by AI. I don't know about you, Japan. What do you think about this thing?
I think this is one of the threats and also one of the dangers that some of the um, people with insights and industry knowledge of AI is actually um, also voicing out. So large language models, as you mentioned, is actually teaching AI supercomputers what to do, say, react, answer based on a set of data. And if you look at just basically ChatGPT data, I think feeding it to train the large language model ChatGPT is still obsolete data. I think back then when I was still using it was just up to 2021. But from Google, it's actually using real live internet information. So as recent news, like yesterday, you can just ask Bart what's the summary of it, and Bart is able to actually answer you. So the very fact that what you said just now is that if ChatGPT or even Bard or even other large language model are trained using data preceding old information instead of thinking forward, right, and predicting what is going to be right or accurate for the next few futures down the road, then they'll always have a obsolete mindset. And if the proportion of wrong information, wrong answers outweighs the correct answers, then there's a tendency for large language models to actually give you a biased answer and eventually a wrong answer, and this will continue to cascade, amplify, and in exponential manner that 5 years, 10 years down the road, maybe AI is not that smart anymore because they have been trained using the wrong answers and wrong information, and that will be the point where we see whether AI can be rendered obsolete if they do not actually think of how to actually make AI smarter than it is right now as of today.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of topic talking about it. They become sentient or whatnot, but we won't cover that. But the fact is, right now they are learning from the past, and they won't be able to do anything beyond that. Although they can give some smart answer, try to fool you around. For example, if you have been experiencing it with ChatGPT, but then it won't go far from the key pointer. So the key pointer basically from the past result. So
Yep.
which also make me feel a little bit hopeful, meaning the genuine high quality human content is still very, very important.
Yep.
And
It
then
is.
to extend from that point, any user generated content platform, for example, Facebook, Instagram, Meta, or I mean Threads, Twitters, or whatever not, will remain as important because they are user generated content. But of course, I believe probably half, maybe not saying half, probably some percentage of it already filtered by AI generated content, but still the high quality one will be the one that get the most like share forward. And this is the one that will get attention when the AI actually scrap the data. So human content still important. And then the platform that offer user to actually post their genuine content is still important. So that's why I think social media is still relevant. It's just maybe the format of it, they need to find a way to adjust. Probably Meta didn't manage to do it in the short video platform like against TikTok, but then Thread, I would say, is quite a smart move. Right timing, I would say, right technologies. I mean, right extension as well. But then, just before we end, I mean, the discussion today, I just wanted to share an interesting fact. Even though we have been talking about ChatGPT, how it's going to take the world, but human is just being human. We get excited on one new thing, but after a while, we get bored about it, and then we don't bother to use it. I mean, we don't bother to talk about it anymore. So you can see June 2023 is the first time that ChatGPT usage actually dropped. So ever since they launched, he has been picking them up very, very fast. And then this is the first time it drops. So maybe humans just being human. None of the thing can actually catch our attention forever. None of the threat will be forever a threat to you because we always adapt. We always try to be better against the thing that's coming. I mean, Japan, you want to have anything before we end the videos?
No, not really good. At the end of the day, even I started to feel that ChatGPT is giving out much more flowery stuff and replies than it used to be. Back then, it used to be very pinpoint, accurate on the no, beating around the bush. But yeah, I think for whatsoever reasons, any tweaks, changes that the dev actually implements can be a good or bad thing. But as you can see from the user base growth right here, it is actually dropping a bit. So really a question whether can continue to grow up again in the future or not. But that said, I think the main point they want to deliver is that nothing actually beats human creativity, and in terms of data, opinion, and content is being published on the social media platform. And this is also the reason why social media actually became something so relevant in our lives ever since it was launched back then. Back then, we thought the internet was everything, but no, actually, social media has been in way bigger than compared to what the internet is offering, due to the fact that you see that a lot of people actually log into the internet via social media platforms instead of doing searches on the internet. So I think if you go back to that point, social media will still remain strong and relevant, and this is why it is exciting to see Meta actually launching Threads to actually enter into a new realm that is potentially going to complement what they have as of today. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also like the video, share it to your friends and family, subscribe to our channel, because this will actually make human generated content superior, and give us the foundation and also the validity that human generated content is going to still stay relevant compared to AI generated content out there. And of course, if you want us to touch on topics that are somewhat similar, interesting, thought provoking, let us know what you want to hear in the comment section. And I think we will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.